Point Pleasant, West Virginia, November 15th, 1966. Two young couples were driving down a dark road outside of town. As they passed by an old building, they were startled by a frightening sight.
They claimed to have seen a large winged creature, 6 to 7 foot tall, gray in color, and 2 large red eyes. They said this creature flew over their car and followed them back into town. That was the beginning of the Mothman sightings.
The young couple's harrowing account was picked up by the local press and incited panic across town. The legend of the Mothman was born. And dozens of encounters with the winged monster would be reported over the next year.
There were over 100 reported sightings to the local authorities. You had some people who, claimed to have seen it while driving in their car. You had some other people seeing it in their front yard.
For the people of Point Pleasant, the mystery of the Mothman persists to this day. Where did this monster come from? Why did it suddenly appear in this small town? And perhaps most curious of all, why were the first Mothman sightings followed by a visit from the Men in Black?
Some people think he was a being from another world. The supporting evidence of that is the fact that multiple witnesses who saw the Mothman were actually intimidated by what can now be described as Men in Black. Men in Black typically are only associated with UFO cases.
People describe Men in Black as looking like cadavers. They looked like pale-faced zombies dressed in black suits with black fedoras.
I interviewed Mothman witnesses who did have Men in Black experiences. This was 40 years after the fact at the time, and they were still clearly traumatized by the event. I had no reason to disbelieve these people, none whatsoever.
One resident who claimed to have been visited by the Men in Black was Mary Hyer, a local journalist who reported on the Mothman sightings for the Point Pleasant Register and the Athens Messenger.
Mary Hyer was just a normal, legitimate journalist investigating your average stories around town. And then she was suddenly plunged into this issue involving the Mothman.
Mary Hyer had begun investigating the mysterious incidents in and around Point Pleasant with a New York-based UFO researcher named John Keel.
John Keel heard about the Mothman story and decided, I'm going to go up there, I'm going to see what's going on. And when he did so, he hooked up with Mary Hyer. And the two of them sort of became like the Mulder and Scully of that era and secured a great deal of information, interviewed a lot of people.
These investigations would eventually lead to the popular book and later Hollywood film, The Mothman Prophecies. But not everyone was pleased with the information Mary Hyer and John Keel were gleaning from the public about the Mothman.
Mary Hyer was visited by Men in Black who told her to stop writing about the Mothman and all these strange encounters. Stop writing about this. You don't want to be involved in this.
This is a classic example of the Men in Black not just terrorizing and threatening UFO witnesses, but also journalists as well.